Well, you've all got a piece of paper. I'll have you start by just writing a word on there. If you would just write perceive on your paper. Okay, so as you're doing that, did anybody do this? And think, right when you got to that C, think, okay, I before E except after C, and then continue writing that. Did anybody do that? Like, I do it every time I write one of these words. That's Nicole just went right through that. That's private speech. That's thinking aloud. That's an example of using that where you're talking to yourself with a rule that you know, in an instance where you're running into it and just need to reaffirm that or talk yourself through that. And it's a great learning tool. It's a tool that we all use in different forms throughout our lifespan. But when you're young, when you're a younger child, and you're learning something new, reading is an example. You'll read out loud, and you'll do that in order to learn the skill. And then when new rules are taught, you'll talk through those rules so that you can internalize them and they become part of what you're doing. So that thinking out loud, also called private speech, is just something that we do our whole lives. As you mature and get older, then you'll use that when you run into more difficult things. When you're reading something and you're reading a more difficult concept, it may be you'll repeat that to yourself before you move on. That's, again, using that whole concept. As we get older, we start to use maybe just the phrases of things that are more challenging, and we skip past everything else because everything else is very easy to grasp. So that is what thinking aloud in private speech is. It's really a useful tool in talking through things. It can be used in math quite a bit as you're talking through maybe a rule. I'll use another example, but when you're doing algebra and you're doing binomials, you're going to do. Does anybody remember FOIL? Mm-hmm. FOIL is
outside, inside, last.
Right. First, outside, inside, last. So you kind of use that again just to talk yourself through. You're going to do the first, you're going to do the outside, the inside, and then the last to talk yourself through that. So it's just these little rules that you pick up and you learn throughout your learning experience. You start to internalize them, you just kind of think through them again. Sometimes you'll do those out loud or to yourself. You don't need to have another person around when you're doing that. It's something you can do with yourself. Good for some good applications for private speech would be in memorizing vocabulary by saying the words out loud or to yourself. In poetry and appreciating the poetry and the rhythm of it. In editing papers, I'll do that a lot when I'm reading through something and editing something. You almost talk through it to yourself just to hear, does it sound right? Am I doing that the right way? And then we did the example of math problems. And that's kind of what private speech is.